Hey, what's going on, everyone out there? It's B. Avery here for another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And with this one right here, if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail, the title, the background, the banner at the bottom, we're talking Spider-Man No Way Home, full spoiler discussion. We're going to spoil this thing up, down, left, right, in, and out as if you've already seen the film. So, you have been warned. So you can spoil away in the comment section, all that good stuff. Just make sure that you have seen the movie or you don't care about spoilers, because I don't want to ruin the experience for you. There's a ton of surprises, and I'm really, really excited that we're going to get into all this nitty gritty. And as you can see right here, I'm not here by myself. I am joined with my main man, Elliot from Movie Files. What is good, my brother? It has been a minute. How are you doing, sir?
Man? Hey, I'm coming from another multiverse, man. You know, Ned brought me in, and I'm here to spoil this movie, man. I mean, it's a big film.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, man.
We both saw it yesterday, and it's just a lot to get into.
Yep.
And before we do that, just want to let you know, if you don't know, of course, this is Elliot right here. If you love what this gentleman has to say, you can follow himself and myself on social media. Our handles are on the screen. His information is down in the description box of this video, and also here's his YouTube channel right here on my channel tab. If you just like click my channel, click the channel tab right here. He is on the second row right there in the middle. And then this is his channel. Let's help this brother reach 20,000 subscribers, because he works so hard. I mean, look, he already got his Spider-Man review up. I don't. He got the Swan song coming up for tomorrow. He got a Hawkeye Live episode 5. I mean, the boy is on it. The man works hard. Not boy. The man works hard. So make sure you subscribe to him and show him some love. So, Elliot, let's go ahead and get into it. I don't know how you feel, guys. He doesn't know how I feel. He doesn't know how I feel. I don't know how he feels, and so I'm gonna pass it to him real quick first. Elliot, let us know how you felt about the movie. Spoil away. Also, let us know what your expectations. Let us know what your expectations are or were.
Yeah.
And then also your general impressions of the film. Go ahead.
Expectations were, so when they announced this film, I want to say in 2019, that it was going to be, obviously, you know, every 2 years we've gotten a Spider-Man film. For the most part, I've been a fan of Tom Holland's portrayal. I know there's been some criticisms with the boy version, the Spider Boy, and making silly decisions and whatnot. And there's definitely some warrant to those kind of disagreements of the sorts with that character. And for me, the biggest thing was him being behind Iron Man in his first 2 films was kind of getting annoying. But with all that being said, man, I was looking forward to it. You know, most of the Marvel third films tend to hit the mark for me, whether it's your Civil Wars of the world, your Thor Ragnaroks, you know, the third Avenger, fourth Avenger, obviously. So they normally stick the landing in most cases, besides like Iron Man 3. I'm not the biggest fan of that film. But neither here nor there, man. I was looking forward to it. I was excited to see Tom Holland's progression of him becoming a Spider-Man eventually, which we'll talk about. And of course, as the time and the months and the years went by, the more speculation, the more the theories, the more the leaks came out, and it kind of dampened my anticipation level, because it was just like, it seemed like every other day there was some rumor out there that kind of was just like, damn, that would have been great to see the first time in theaters. But neither here nor there. I was really excited for it. And to go into my general thoughts of the film, walking out of the film, it was a lot to take in. And I initially did a tweet where I talked about all the, you know, the stuff that I really enjoyed, but I did admit that, and I still think this way, it had a little bit of messiness to it. And it also was a little bit of some contradiction going on, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But generally speaking, man, I can't think of more of a fun time that I've had in the theater probably since Endgame, in regards to just being like, surprise here, surprise there, great moment here, nostalgia here. So it was a very enjoyable experience. And I'm really excited to revisit it, to kind of find all the little details I might have missed the first time, or some of the stuff I might have didn't enjoy the first time, I might be able to kind of live with it the second or third or fourth go around.
Right on. So you thought it was messy, but you still have fun with it.
Yes, and and a lot of we'll get to the messiness. But
Okay. Myself, see, Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters of all time. I still am disappointed that Sony rebooted Spider-Man after 3. I still think they should have had a 4 with John Malkovich as the Vulture. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was horrible. But I'm loving everything with Tom Holland. I was worried going into this film, just saying to myself, like, okay, they're doing too much. They're throwing the whole kitchen sink at this thing, and they're just so desperate to do this Sinister Six film.
Yeah.
Just let it happen naturally over time, you know, over
Mhm.
films. Don't just shoehorn it in. And I
Mhm.
kind of felt that they were doing that. And just for an example of kind of how Fox, which is now 20th Century Studios, how they copied off Marvel. The only reason they had Evan Peters in their X-Men film, which he did great, was
Mhm.
because Josh Whedon, he didn't leak it out. He just revealed that he was going to have Wanda and Evan Peters, Quicksilver, in his film. And
Mhm.
so Fox hurried up and put it in their film as well. Now, that it ended up being very good. That scene where he was running around the kitchen,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
was dope as hell. So I got to give credit where credit is due. I feel like Sony did the exact same thing here with
Mm.
Spider-Man. They found out, they found out. Of course, they're in the meetings talking
Mhm.
about how to proceed with the MCU. Kevin Feige, Marvel are like, hey, we're going to do Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. Oh,
Mhm.
y'all are going to do a multiverse? Okay, well, this gives us an opportunity to bring in all these other universes like Toby and
Yep.
and Andrew, and we can do this, we can do that. You know, that's how I feel. Now,
Mhm.
after seeing the film, whether they executed that or not, I'll tell you in a second, but that was just my expectations were low. I was worried, but I was also worried going into Homecoming. I was also worried going into Far From Home, and
Mhm.
I ended up really enjoying those films.
Yep.
And while I was worried for this one as well, I walked out happy too. You know, I don't want to say that I'm blown away. I
Yep.
don't want to say that I love the film, but I really, really did enjoy it. And
Mhm.
I'm also not disappointed at all. You know, I'm satisfied. I feel fulfilled. That could be because my expectations are super low.
Right. Right.
But you know, hey, I'm walking out and I'm like, I've always been like, I want all the rights to go back to Marvel.
Mhm.
But if Sony can at least keep this standard that they're going at right now,
Mhm.
I can live with the property staying with them. I just kind of wish that if I had everything my way, stop making all these Venom and Morbius side things. If you're gonna make additional,
Spider-Verse. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just make them in the MCU.
Right.
And so while I didn't love this film, I still at this time I don't know if I can say that at the end for my ranking.
Mhm.
You know, but let's go ahead and get into this, man. One of the
Yeah, man.
things that I liked about Far From Home is, you know, at the very end we're left on the cliffhanger
Yeah.
with the identity of Peter Parker being revealed to the world.
Yep.
And I absolutely love the way this film started off exploring that. I thought that
Yep.
was perfect. And it was also great to me because we got to see Tom Holland Spider-Man in a panic, but also swinging around New York from buildings with his web shooters.
Mhm.
We don't,
Mhm.
I mean, if you think about it, we don't have that much of Spider-Man swinging from buildings in New York.
Nope.
It's just like,
He's literally the second movie. He's in Europe the entire film for maybe a total of 5 minutes. So yeah.
right. And what's frustrating is like in Homecoming, I understand that was kind of his origin, but instead
Mhm.
of him swinging from buildings at the end of the film for the climax, he was driving a car. And I'm like, what? This is an opportunity to show him swing. And he's
Right.
driving from a car. And like you said, yes, he's in Europe the whole time and Far From Home. That's why one of my favorite scenes at the end of that movie was when he was swinging from New York,
Yep.
like
The
right
cell
before the
phone and
credits hit.
everything in his hand. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I wish we could have got a little bit more of that in that film, but this is a great way to start off this film, No Way Home. It's just you know, him in a panic, you know,
Yep.
him and their life is just flipped upside down. And
Mhm.
I just like the little details, bro, just like how humanity is. I hated the character for it, but I love that they included this when
Was it the
the
girl?
well, go ahead.
Was the girl and she's like, he just touched me. He's
Yes.
like, Spider-Man hit me or something.
Yes, dude. Like it grinded my gears. That exact thing. She's like, take off your mask. Let's see who you are. And I'm just
Trying to
like,
cancel
oh,
Spider-Man out here in
yeah,
these
people,
streets.
man. People are so stupid. And it's like that was a supreme beam Karen right there, dude. I'm just like, I wanted to jump on the screen and punch her in the face. I really did, you know.
Yep.
And this is also where we're getting to see like the full portrayal of J. Jonah Jameson.
Mm.
You know, what is it, J.K. Simmons? How do you feel about that portrayal and how he did in this film?
It's new, it's fun, it's something different, obviously from the Sam Raimi's, because he was a little bit over the top, but he was also stern and all that stuff. And this one's he's a blogger versus, which makes sense to the times, right? That was during the 2000s. Newspapers were still a thing, but now obviously it's the TikToks, the Instagrams, the digital age. So I love the kind of the new interpretation of them. I would have loved to have gotten more Spider-Man, Jonah Jameson in person moments like we got with Tobey Maguire. But we might get more in the future with those characters. But I do, J.K. Simmons, he could do no wrong in my eyes, so I enjoy him as I love that they brought him back in the mix.
Yeah, me too. He's perfectly cast.
Yep.
I was giddy when they showed him in the post-credit scene at the end of the last movie. I thought I uploaded some pictures for him, but I guess they just didn't pop into StreamYard. But that's okay. Spider-Man webbed them away. But he was cool. I laughed my ass off when they showed his little home setup or whatever. You're thinking it's going to be some high class technology with all the studio and the lights.
It's in his room.
Yeah, this
like we are right now.
Yeah, his little basement, and his underwear. Not knocking you, but it was just kind of funny. I didn't expect that. But going into this, man, there was a lot of speculation about who was going to pop up.
So much.
Like
Batman was going to be in the movie.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. When I'm pretty sure you know what I'm about to talk about. The first big surprise in the movie, when fans were speculating online, talking about Tom Holland, Spider-Man, he needs Peter needs a lawyer. There's somebody's arm right here. Could it be Matt Murdock? I cannot tell you how annoyed I was. I was like, oh my God, guys, seriously, you're reaching. Okay. What are you talking about? He's not going to show up. What do blah, blah, blah. Boy, was I wrong. And I cannot lie. I smiled ear to ear when this man right here popped up. I was like, oh my God. There he is, man. Matt Murdock is here, man. Daredevil is officially part of the MCU.
It's official, and gentlemen.
Yeah, man. It's dope as hell, man. It's dope as hell. How did you feel? Talk about it when this happened right here for you.
So same feelings that I had in regards to literally probably a year ago is when the the speculation came about regarding, okay, if Spider-Man is going to go on trial, who would be the perfect lawyer? I was actually thinking that they would have maybe played with our expectations, and it would have been a great gateway to bring in, She-Hulk, because obviously she's in the universe, and then she's going to have her own TV show or what have you. But if the possibility came up that Matt Murdock was going to be involved, and also too, I think it was last year when Netflix lost the rights to those characters, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and all of them, Punisher. So, and then the ice on the cake for me was probably 2 weeks ago when Kevin Feige, I guess he just wanted to catch the storm before it hit, when he announced that Charlie Cox would be coming back. He didn't say when, but it was like, okay, we're a week away from the film. Kevin, you're playing your hand right now. But neither here nor there. When it comes to me and spoilers and leaks and all that stuff, it kind of dampers the mood. It kind of sucks the excitement out of the particular scene, but it's all about the execution. So even though I was anticipating maybe seeing Charlie Cox in the film, it still landed. Like you said, seeing the scene, seeing how it played out, him catching the brick, which was, oh, how did you do that? I'm a really good lawyer. It put a big smile on my face. And even though it would have been nice to see him in the suit maybe a little bit later on in the film, I'm just excited that we officially get Matt Murdock in the MCU. And of course, when we're filming this, we got the 5th episode of Hawkeye and a particular character appeared in that episode. So it's all coming together. My only thing is I'm really excited to see them explaining this variant version of Daredevil. Where have you been this whole time? Where were you during the blip and all that stuff? Because obviously I would assume they're not going to play any of the Netflix canon. It's going to be its own MCU version of characters. So it's going to be interesting to see, are we going to be treading the same ground? Are we going to get another origin story? Or they're just going to Spider-Man and he's been Daredevil this whole time, or we're just going to be, catching into him 3 years doing Daredevil, 4 years into doing Daredevil. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you brought that up, because I initially was like, again, if it was up to me, if I had my way, I wouldn't have cast the same people, as Daredevil and Kingpin and all that. Even though they're both great,
phenomenal. I love the show Daredevil.
Right. Yes, sir. I just, just for continuity reasons and it just to be separated, I wanted I wanted a different casting. But now that it's official, I'm okay with it, as long as, like you said, they reboot the character. Like I do not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
their
I don't.
backstory and
Yeah,
all that.
I don't want them to keep the same Netflix story. I don't know how. I mean, even if they try to, I think they may end up writing themselves in a corner.
Yep.
You know, they may miss something as far as a story or plot somewhere, and it'd be a big contradiction, and then it just doesn't work. So I'm 100% okay with this now. Just go ahead and like reboot the property, reboot
Right.
the origin story for both of the characters, and I'm okay with this, man. I'm okay with this. So.
And to be honest with you, Brand, this is something we've never seen before, right? Because these are actors that have played the role and they're coming to play the role again, but in a different universe. So I wonder, you know, we always talk about when you mention the recasting, whether it be when they eventually inevitably recast, Wolverine, it's going to always be that comparison game. Oh, this new actor ain't got nothing on Hugh Jackman. They should bring you. So I wonder if we're going to have those same conversations, but in reverse, in regards to this version of Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock is nowhere near as good as the Netflix version, or Vincent D'Onofrio. He seems a lot weaker, more, doesn't seem as menacing. So I wonder if people are going to be doing that comparison game regarding like, this is Disney-fied. This is, as we talk about with Blade all the time, is it going to be a PG version, PG-13 of Blade? So I wonder if people are going to be nitpicking on the differences of the Netflix version of those characters versus the MCU interpretation of the characters.
Right on. Now let me there's a ton of stuff we still got to get to. Let me talk about this next. How do you feel about the inclusion of Peter's friends, Ned and Mary Jane? Did you like their screen presence? Did you think it was a bit too much? Let me know how you felt.
So on one hand, Zendaya, great actress, she has been killing it this year, whether it's Malcolm and Marie, obviously Dune, and now this, and she just has a very bright future. I was very happy that she was able to get more to do, because my biggest thing with MJ in the first two films, I feel like Marvel was trying to go so against the grain and have her be so non-Mary Jane from obviously the Tobey Maguire world, doesn't want to be anything close to Gwen Stacy. They almost made it like she was just such an introvert that she was just that, and she was nothing else, and she had no characteristics. So I was glad that they finally opened her up in regards to, she can laugh, she can have a good time, she loves Peter. So I love that she was able to show us that range. Now the other side with Ned, the actor's cool, man, but they let my man Ned, he's up here doing magic, and it took my man Doctor Strange, I don't know, weeks, months, a year, or whatever that was in his film, to learn just how to open a portal. I know his hands were he was disabled with his hands, but it's just like, come on. And I know the film throws in the little jokes that, oh, my nana says our family has magic, but come on, man. My man was opening up portals in this film. Ned was doing too much for me, but MJ, I enjoyed her portrayal.
I agree with you 100%. MJ has grown a lot,
for sure.
But the Ned thing did piss me off. It did, because I already thought that in his movie that he mastered all of his magic too fast.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange, Brandon. We're gonna be talking about this man a little bit later. Doctor Strange.
Okay, man. We're gonna talk about it. But even in that film, I'm like, bro, you're mastering magic at this level, this quick. Now, a plot point that makes sense is he was already a doctor
and quick learner that they mentioned.
Just in any master, even in martial arts, like once you master one martial arts, you can master another one much quicker. So he had mastered medicine, so it kind of made sense that he would adapt that quickly, but he still struggled. I mean, she had him on what was it, Mount Everest or something like that, and he's about to die. And like you said, Ned is doing this on accident. And of course he brought in the other characters later on, and I'm just like,
I have a big problem with that. Ned is the reason why the Spider-Man are in, but okay.
We'll get. It's just like it kind of takes away the stakes for me. When things are just so easy. I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of one thing that I just didn't care for. Another thing, just to get the supporting characters out the way, not that they're the two not significant, but I just know that that's not the main reason why people are here. And I couldn't find a best picture for it. And I normally don't mind race bending or changing the race of a character, but Flash Thompson was white in the comics, or from what I know. If I'm incorrect, let me know. And Flash in this has been fine, but I kind of wish they would have kept him white if they're gonna turn his hair blonde. Like that. That may not be a big deal to nobody, but this was annoying to me, and I also I kind of just felt like they spent a little bit too much time on these like little characters like this, because Peter's having him talking to him on the phone. Hey, I'm trying to get in contact with so and so. Whoa, are you going to tell people I'm your best friend? It's just all that is just really really not necessary to me.
Mhm. Wasted screen time, yeah.
Right, right, right.
No, I
And to
agree.
be honest with you, this film comes in. Let me see. Let me show you this. How long is this film?
Oh, this is a heavy one. Two
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 hours and 28
I feel
minutes.
like it was even longer, especially with those credits, but yeah, that sounds
I
about
would.
right, 2 and a
I
half.
was gonna say I wish it was longer.
Yeah.
I wish it was longer. I kind of feel like there was a few aspects of it that was kind of brushed over, and we could have got a little bit more development.
Perfect
You know,
example of being brushed over. I thought that we were gonna. I didn't necessarily think he had to go to trial as far as Peter Parker goes, but it would have been nice to have him go to trial and have Matt Murdock kind of, go bar for bar. Maybe that could have been a great way to bring in She-Hulk. Maybe she was the defense attorney, or not the defense attorney, but the other attorney representing New York and all the crimes against Spider-Man. I would have liked to have seen a trial, but that was just, it seemed kind of a little easy. It's like all the charges are dropped. I was like, Matt Murdock's a good lawyer, but damn, he got and Peter Parker is white, so I mean, he is gonna get away with it a little bit easier. But that was something I wish it was maybe a little bit more elongated and kind of explaining maybe how he was able to beat the Chargers so easily. But we spent more time with Flash and him selling a book.
I forgot all. You're right, man. I forgot all about that. And that cop that was doing the interrogation.
Yeah,
They made it seem like he was going to have a prominent
a little
role in
bit
the
bigger
film,
role, right? Yeah,
but he didn't. He
yep.
never popped back out. It was
Mhm.
kind of like I thought he was going to be like the Hayward of this, of this film.
Always kind of a thorn in
Right,
his side, kind of
right,
catching him. Yep, I thought
right,
so
right,
as
right,
well.
right,
Yeah,
right. Now the thing about it is about Peter. Let's talk about Peter for a second. The
yeah.
main person that we're here. Of course, I love the casting from by Peter. And what has happened to all my pictures? Like half of them are gone. I don't know what's going on, y'all. But
Mysterio, he's in
yeah,
here doing illusions,
this
man.
is crazy. But man, I'm sorry, y'all. But I'm loving Peter. And one thing I'm loving about this film is he's grown up. Like by the
Yes,
end of this,
Brandon. Yes,
the
sir.
maturity level
Yep.
is like on level 9,000 now,
Yep.
and he learned his lesson big time. We'll talk about that in a second, but he learned his lesson big time. But he was still frustrating me so much.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, dude, if you do not sit your little dumb ass down, like this is common sense, bruh. Why are you making these decisions? I know I'm almost 40. Okay, so I'm a bit more mature than somebody in high school, but I wasn't as dumbfounded when I was in high
And
school.
not even that, man. You got to think about what this Peter Parker. Yes, he's a 17-year-old kid, and I get all that. But my man, as Nick Fury said in Far From Home, bitch, you've been to space. I mean,
Yes.
you're going against Thanos, you're going against Vulture, you get Mysterio. I mean, you're not an average 17-year-old kid. So yes, I get the dumbfoundness in certain decisions, but it's like, come on, man, you can't be making the same silly ass kid moves.
Right.
And again, I'm going to talk about Doctor Strange, talk about silly ass kid moves. I will never forgive Doctor Strange for the spell and agreeing to help Peter. I know the film tries to explain it and it says, oh, it's just we did the spell before. It doesn't have any things, but then at the same time, it has catastrophic consequences. We're going to get to Doctor Strange in a bit, but yeah.
Well, no, we can talk about that now. That was my next little thing because this happened towards the beginning of the film, and let me know. I mean, I do agree. Like, I will say this though, when we first saw the trailer,
yes,
I was thinking that this was like a variant or a scroll or evil Doctor Strange. I'm like, he's so out of character.
Yeah.
And I'll give him credit in this, and it feels like we hate the film. I'm assuming we liked it,
yeah,
a lot. Excuse me. But that's not the case when I actually saw it. I'm like, okay, he is in character. He does seem like he's being a bit responsible. And I like how this played out. Again, I had more pictures, but I don't know. They just disappeared. But I like how this was, how they depicted this. This was pretty cool. Of course, this, we got to see much more in the movie than the trailer. And so a lot more made sense. But I thought this was as dope as hell. I like the effects, and all that good stuff. And so for the most part, the Doctor Strange stuff was cool. How do I thought it was interesting that he's not the Sorcerer Supreme, that Wong is, off of technicality.
They addressed that. Yeah. I like that, which is, I guess I'm still baffled by why Wong was in Shang-Chi fighting Abomination. If he's the Sorcerer Supreme, it's like you got more fish to fry than sparring with the Abomination. So I guess that's explained in another movie, maybe the sequel to Doctor Strange. But yeah, no, Wong, he is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hope they explain it further, because I'm just kind of thinking like, why don't you just give the title to Doctor Strange? But I don't know. And I think this is the first film to where they actually declared somebody as the Sorcerer Supreme besides the Ancient One, because in Infinity War he called himself the master of the mystic arts,
Right,
which is
right.
like a level like right below that. And you know, there was they didn't address it in the game, and we haven't seen Doctor Strange since. And so this is the first time it's been that title has been passed to somebody besides the Ancient One. I also want to know, where do you think Wong was going? Do you think this is where he went to go to
The Shang-Chi
yeah,
thing?
you think so?
I'm I'm still don't know where we are in certain timelines. Like I don't know when exactly the Eternals, where's that timeline? I don't know where Shang-Chi is. So I maybe I assume that's where he went. But again, why are he was traveling to I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I guess we might get more of that in the Doctor Strange 2 movie. I don't know where Wong was going to and why he was gone the whole movie. You're the Sorcerer Supreme and the multiverse has been open, but you know, they got to sometimes sideline the most powerful characters.
Right on. And you know, we always we come to these things mainly for the action.
Yeah, man.
And how did you feel about that, especially the highway scene with Dr. Octopus, Dr. Octavius, Otto Octavius? You know, how'd you feel about that? And this is really his whole return. And just, you know, how you feeling?
It was clean, man. It was a clean look. The visual effects. I know they de-aged him. And Alfred Molina, you know, a fantastic actor. His whole career it speaks for itself. And I'm a big Doc Ock fan, especially in the lore of Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. So it was really awesome to see him. And just to answer your question about the action, it was great, man. It was, you know, Peter with his suit, his iron suit, and him obviously trying to save the woman from the MIT. So it's like it's always that thing with Spider-Man. He always has decisions and choices, and it's always just it's not a straightforward fight. There's always stakes at hand. So I really enjoyed that first action set piece on the bridge, which we saw most of that, you know, in the trailers, but it was still seeing it in person and seeing it. I got to see it in IMAX. It was gorgeous to look at, man.
I'm jealous. Nice, man. Because I saw this on a small boo-boo screen. And I was in the back as well because you know they had the vaccine and negative COVID test mandates, but I didn't want to sit by nobody. So the screen I saw this on was small. So if you haven't bought your tickets already, try to get it in IMAX. I got an IMAX ticket for tomorrow, Thursday, but then I'm like, dang, I gotta work, so I gotta change my thing around. But in agreement with you, back on topic, I love the action too. This scene on the highway was my favorite scene out the whole movie. Like it was dope. You have Otto Octavius.
Wait, your favorite entire scene or action scene?
It's possibly top 3 favorite scene in the movie.
Gotcha.
You know, it was just dope.
It's up there. Yeah.
I love the choreography of the way they executed that. You can tell they really had to sit down and think about this,
map it all out,
and be like, okay, you know, Peter's able to do this, Doc Ock is able to do this. You know, if they're going at each other 100%, how will it look? And you have him with his 4 arms and Peter with his 4 arms. I mean, they were like hand to hand with 4 arms. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, this was nice. Now, I will admit the level of intensity for me was not the same when they fought in Spider-Man 2 from 2004. But it was still good. It was still dope as hell. I love the way they did the nanotech, and then how it was like a Bluetooth connection, and then Peter was able to control it. I mean, he like when Doc Ock was walking on the bridge, swinging concrete embankments and cars, he was just doing it with so much ease and authority. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just like fling. And I mean, like I'm up here thinking like, okay, Spider-Man dodge this way, and I'm like, oh nope. You would have got hit. Okay, that was the smartest decision. That's why you're the superhero and I'm not, you know. So that was cool. I really did like that. But one of the I'm still not. I still haven't bought this completely with the suits in the MCU, or like with the nanotech. It pops on and off just so easily. Same thing with Iron Man suit. Same thing with Black Panther. There's still a lot for me to swallow. I mean, I know this is a superhero comic book film, but it's just like I cannot suspend my disbelief that much. You know, like it's just like he was just walking. He has a suit on, tie, jacket, and all of a sudden, it's just like I don't know. I don't know. Am I tripping?
Hey man, that's that Tony's special nanotech, man. That's the beauty of it. You can put it on in the middle of the night. You can put it on anywhere. You can always be prepared. So it and then also too, it ties into a little bit of his spidey senses because he's always able to catch things. So he can able to just jump right into action and have his suit on him at all times. So it is, yeah, it's very convenient to say the least. But it is pretty cool. If I was a superhero, I would want that. You know, that would be pretty dope.
And help remind me, bro. I'm gonna put a pin in there because there's something that has. Well, I want to say what made me happy. There was a part at the very end. It was my favorite part of the whole movie. My favorite part. But I want to talk about it at the end. But before we go any further, let me go ahead and bring in my second guest to the show. Y'all know him as Mr. Recast T'Challa. That is Eman with Eman's Movie Reviews. Hello, my brother. How are you doing, sir?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
We're doing fantastic, man. We're doing fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And guys, of course, I mean, y'all know who it is, but if you don't know, if this is your first time, this is Eman with Eman's Movie Reviews. If you love what this man has to say, on top of me and Elliot, his handle is on the screen. His information is in the description box of this video. And you can also subscribe to his channel. This is on his channel tab as well. Eman, real quick, man, yes, your expectations and your general impressions of the film, sir.
Look, my expectations were, first of all, I have to, and I did this in my reaction too. I had to apologize to Sony because I was out here like, y'all are doing the most with this marketing. Oh, yeah. Y'all showing way too much footage. You need to chill. Okay. Now, I still stand with that. However, I will say I did not get what was promoted, and I'm okay with that. So that expectation was not met, and I'm fine with that because they still gave me something of quality. But just overall quick impression, I was very happy with this movie. There were the action was there, the drama was there. I felt like this might have been one of the most authentic Spider-Man movies to date. And what I mean by that is in terms of really tackling all the things that make Spider-Man Spider-Man. You know, this checked off all the right boxes, and I know we'll get into it a little later, but I was so impressed. This brought me back to, Spider-Man was the first comic book I started reading, as a kid, and the mere fact that they touched on so many things that make him in this movie and that make him relatable, I was just like, y'all did it. It took y'all a couple movies, but y'all did it, So, and then on top of that, the action was great. I do have a couple issues. I got some issues. I know we're gonna go into them, but so I will say it's not a perfect movie, but it's a very enjoyable one. And I would definitely say that it's easily a top 3, that I think most people would agree to, but I don't know. We could hash that out later too.
Top 3 in the MCU or top 3?
Oh, no, Spider-Man.
Okay.
No,
yeah, for sure. For sure.
We ain't gonna go that far. Not that
you just said that you like the action. We literally just got done talking about the bridge scene with Doc Ock. So how do you feel about that?
I absolutely. When you got the 8 arms going against the 8 arms,
I
thought that was dope. I was sitting there like, oh, let's go. So no, I was geeking out. That was honestly, every fight scene had me geeking out. I thought whoever did the choreography, whoever did the stunts, they nailed it. I was on the edge of my seat with every single fight scene in this movie. This wasn't my favorite one, and maybe we'll get to the favorite ones later, but this one was definitely one of the best ones. And I'm so glad they did it early in the movie. I'm so glad that's what was teased, and we just got it out the way, and it was so fulfilling. So yes, absolutely love that scene.
Right on. And before I keep it there, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because we talked about this, but of course we got to get your opinion on this surprise right here that made me smile. What'd you do when he popped up, man?
Well, thanks to John Campea, wasn't shocked at all. I'm sitting here like, all right, it's gonna happen. And on top of that, Kevin Feige came out even earlier and was like,
did.
"Oh, by the way, if you happen to see him," and again, I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm some MCU expert, but I follow what these people say a little too much sometimes. He don't talk like this.
Right.
Kevin Feige would never ever say go ahead of something and be like, because this for him, it was a soft confirmation, you know, to sit here and be like, if we happen to see a Daredevil or Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox will be it. Like, you knew that was the case. The images had already leaked. Sony had already contacted John Campea, which you're tipping your hand that it's real.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, look, I'm happy for it. You know, given what we've seen in Hawkeye in this recent episode, I'm fine with this. It's very consistent. But I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked. I liked it. I appreciate it, but I wasn't shocked.
One more question for you before I jump back to Elliot. Do you want them to reboot the characters of Daredevil or Kingpin, or keep it the same as a Netflix series?
Oh, they don't have a choice. These characters are not connected to Netflix. They can't. It just would not make sense. If you even thought about trying to keep and maintain the Netflix continuity, how do you make sense of Blade? How do you make sense of Cottonmouth? How do you make sense of his sister, who was already in, you know, the actress was already in Civil War as a whole different person? So the Netflix stuff, if they even want to acknowledge it, that's its own universe. Kind of think of the Ralph Boner thing, same actors that just so happen to still be these characters. So let's not make it complicated. The you know, that's Daredevil. We saw him with his quick reaction, so that's him. You know, ain't no Ralph Boner magic going on here. You know, so that's who they are, and this is good because this also gives them an opportunity to potentially rewrite their history if they want to, or fix things if they want to. So you know, maybe this Matt Murdock never met Kingpin.
Right.
We don't know. So I'm cool with them keeping this separate.
All right. So thank you, sir. Well said. Well said. And Elliot, we were joking earlier about the forced Sinister Six that Sony was doing, and I think they pulled it off pretty well. But with the addition of, we just talked about Doc Ock, Sandman, Lizard, Electro, what's his name, the Green Goblin. How do you feel about like that, the whole Sinister Six, you know, characters coming in and how they handle it, and pros, cons? Just let us have it. How you feeling?
So I'll just go off with the cons first and talk about the pros. I do think that some of the I think every character besides, in my opinion, besides Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin, which by the way, he stole the film from me. He was incredible. But I think every other villain, all the other four villains, got the MCU treatment. And what I mean by that is they seemed a little bit too jokey for me at points. I don't know how. I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around seeing those villains in a condo. That was kind of weird to see them. And I'm like, this is so weird. They're not in like a Tony Stark lab. They're in someone's apartment. That was so weird to me. I'm still wrapping my head around that.
100%.
But I did feel like, number one, I'm going to say this right now. Jamie Foxx had that line that he has later in the movie, which we'll talk about, probably one of the funniest lines I've heard all year. One of the best lines I've heard in a comic book movie in regards to Spider-Man being black, alluding to Miles Morales. I thought you helping poor people. I thought you was black, but I thought that he was cool. Lizard, I could have went without. I honestly could have went 100% without the Lizard because he was pointless in the film. I don't know. They should have maybe swapped him out with Mysterio, which I'm still surprised Mysterio didn't have any doings in this film, but everyone else was cool except for, like I said, Dr. Kirk Connors. I could have went with that character without. Sandman was straight. We talked about Octavius. He was cool, but the best of the best was Green Goblin. Willem Dafoe, this man, and I saw an interview with him earlier today. He said his biggest requirement to coming back to the role, he wanted to do the stunts. This man's 66 years old, committed to the role, the duality of the character. I mean, he was just, and then we'll get to one of my favorite fight scenes was him and my man Peter Parker finally throwing hands and not just kicking people and webbing people up. That scene was incredible.
That wins.
Okay. I disagree with one small part of that. Eman, how you feeling?
So I mean, here's the thing. I'm with Elliot on all that, except, and it's not, I'm not really disagreeing. But even with the Lizard thing, they had to put him in because Amazing Spider-Man, Garfield, didn't have very much, you know what I'm saying, in terms of villains. So like they needed people that the 3 Spider-Man could directly connect to and relate to. And let's be honest, the Amazing Spider-Mans were not all that great, you know, in terms of their villains and stuff. So you have to have Electro, you have to have Lizard, because that's all he fought. What are we talking about? Rhino? Like that's the only substitution. That's the only sub at that point.
Away from that.
Yeah, you know, unless you wanted to get that other version of Green Goblin, you don't want to go that far. Yeah, I understood how they had those limitations. You know, but the I don't know, some of the villain stuff. I think I have more of an issue with John Watts and how he handles these types of movies. I think, I think John Watts needs someone, and I think they give him a little too much free reign on stuff. There's some things somebody needs to be like, yo, pull back. You know, like this is cute. We'll save this for the Disney Plus bonus features, but pull back. And I don't think he knew how to take his foot off the pedal, especially with the villains. I mean, the villains cracking all the jokes and stuff, 1 or 2 are fine, but it started getting super campy in certain areas, and I was
especially the
like,
prison, the jail,
the whole prison thing. I'm like, y'all
are you mean the prison thing when they was in the Doctor Strange?
Yeah, the magical prison. Yeah,
I got you.
It was just sometimes it just kind of went on a little too long, and this is a consistent thing. It happens in multiple areas, not just with the villains. And if we're talking about the villains in general, I think I agree with Elliot. Green Goblin was the best one, like hands down, no question about it. Just the best. The Doc Ock one, and maybe we could talk about this a little later. My issue with him was more of like his potential turn or unturn or whatever. Like it didn't feel very clear. And I wasn't really a fan of how he was written later in the movie. I get it, but I felt like it was a little weak how they went about it. But other than that, I think everybody kind of played their roles. I think I might have been a little disappointed with Sandman. Like Sandman actually agreed with Spider-Man. He was cool with Spider-Man, but now he's like, I just want to get home. But you have a Spider-Man that's like, I'm trying to fix you and let you go home safely. And he's still like, no, I'm gonna be a villain because I don't trust
nobody.
That's what I'm saying. Like some of the writing was kind of like, why are y'all acting like this? Like y'all are. I totally get Green Goblin. You're nuts. I get that. Doc Ock. I get it. You nuts because of the chip.
Yep.
The lizard guy. Okay. You want lizards? I guess.
Yeah.
You know, Jamie Foxx. I totally get that. I want this energy. I want more power. I get that. The other ones, I was kind of like, what are y'all doing? Like,
okay.
I don't know. So
you good? Not Doc Ock, but not Venom. What is his name? Green Goblin.
Oh, okay.
He was the second best for me. Doc Ock was actually my favorite out of the whole movie. I understand, like the Green Goblin was a good annoying, if that makes sense. You know, like I didn't like him, but I wasn't supposed to. I liked it. You know, he was a good villain. I'll just say that. You know, I despised him, but that's how I was supposed to feel. But to me, Doc Ock stole the show. He got the most screen time, and I think that's part of because, you know, universally Spider-Man 2 is mostly everybody's favorite. I mean, the performance was just on a whole completely different level than everybody else. Jamie, Sandman, like all over the place. It felt unbalanced because he was so good. Him and Green Goblin was so good, and everybody else was just kind of just like, you know, passing time, you know, making little quirks and stuff like that. It wasn't horrible. It just didn't match to me. And one of the things that frustrated the F out of me was Tom Peter's fabricator. You know, that made
the magical 3D printer.
Yeah, like come on,
just do whatever.
Yes, like what you can just make whatever you want. Like
Stark Tech.
Like come on, like it was fine that it could make a suit or some web shooters. But now you're up here making formulas that deal with chemistry and biology, and then
curing cancer. I mean, the thing can do everything.
It can literally.
To be fair,
okay,
I don't like it, but to be fair, keep in mind in 2018, so this is before Far From Home. This is all due to Wakanda. Wakanda opened their country up and gave the world a lot of technology, and Tony Stark benefited from that. He used like his nanotech, that's from Wakanda. He actually used the Wakanda shield in Endgame, you know, when he was shielding when they were about to do the blip snap. So all I'm saying is
no. Well, keep going.
No, all I'm saying is I get that it's a stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, you're talking about Tony Stark using Wakanda futuristic tech. That's how they're rationalizing this as being believable.
Good point. I'll give you that. I will. However,
I don't like it. I think it's still cheap. Don't get me wrong. I still think it's cheap. But
I still got to push back, man. You go from making a suit to making a chip that you've never encountered before to help this guy, then to making green potions to fix Green Goblin, to fix Sandman. You're making Archery. It's just like,
I mean,
damn,
he is an MIT, candidate,
man. But so was Tony. So was Tony Stark.
Sure.
But it spent him weeks and months trying to configure one arc reactor. Tom Holland is able to do all of that times 5 in an afternoon.
He got the help of AI.
Hey, whatever, bro. I know you messing with me, but
I mean, I'm just saying. Look, no, all I'm saying is they throw so much wild stuff out there.
It's comic book stuff.
Literally, the excuse for like half of the stuff in this movie is magic.
Yeah. And something else that bothered me.
Easy writing.
It was they dropped this line of dialogue in there is when Norman said he came back to this universe, he didn't know what was going on, and he said that Oscorp doesn't exist. I think that's a mistake.
No, I think that's a mistake. Line. That's a key line.
I think that should.
Why do you think it's a mistake?
Because like, where is he going to come from now?
If
like, where is Norman Osborn?
Who said that he will?
He should. In my opinion.
Why? They might replace him
for more story.
They might replace him with Kingpin.
Why can't we have both?
Oh, we can. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying they probably don't have a Norman Osborn. So this is one thing I was thinking was like,
or an Oscorp. Or go ahead.
Well, yeah. So no Oscorp, right? So because Spider-Man and Oscorp, Norman Osborn, those are two intricately lit, characters. You don't have a Norman Osborn unless you have a Spider-Man. So, we would have been known about Norman Osborn if he was a thing long before Spider-Man, but character rights, whatever. But all I'm saying is like, what was it in the comics? I want to say Osborn was even in charge of like the Dark Avengers and funding them and doing all this stuff.
He's the president at one point, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah. All I'm saying is they might mix that up and be like, yo, now that's really Kingpin that's doing these type of things behind the shadows, running things. And I would also say, if there is no Oscorp, that does at least help us understand that's one player off the board for who bought Avengers Tower. I'm hoping it's like the Fantastic Four Baxter Building or something, but at least now we know if there's no Oscorp here, okay, that's one player out of here. Maybe they exist in Eddie Brock's universe or something, in Venom's universe. I don't know, but
we'll talk about
that.
And
I mean, to that point too. I mean, we literally, again, by the time this video's out, Hawkeye episode 5 will be out. We just got Kingpin in MCU,
right?
So I mean, they could literally just we might be forgiving them because it's like, oh, Norman Osborn is back, and whoever they cast will just forget that he's been in the background. Because again, where the X-Men been? When have the Fantastic Four been? They still have to explain where certain characters are coming from. So we might get a Norman Osborn in a couple of years.
We're going to have to wait for Doctor Strange too
to explain that.
See if that does some, because I
thought
still
Eternals
don't know
was
how
going to be. I would say I thought Eternals was going to be the big
that was another
changer,
possibility, but they ain't do it with that.
Yep.
Right on. And I think I can't remember which one of y'all said it. You said about the condo thing. And so then Elliot, Eman, you talked about the basement. I actually liked the dialogue in the basement. I thought that was very clever how fast everybody was talking, because they to me at least, they explained the reasoning for everybody being there quite well, without much wasted screen. It was just kind of straight to the point. Do you know Spider-Man? Yes. Is this him? No. See, he's like, I thought it was executed fine. Yeah. Now the condo thing, Elliot, yeah, I do agree. It was just kind of weird, just kind of seeing them in there like that. Just like they did address it like this is where we're in a condominium instead of like a lab, you know. So it's kind of meta, self-aware. I do appreciate that, but I guess it does kind of tie in with the story. But before we get into any more serious stuff, like how do y'all feel about like the comedy in the film for the most part? Because I had a good number of laugh out moments. Especially when Peter got to high school and they had the shrine there for him.
That was pretty.
And there was JB Smoove was like, "Hello, yes," and then the other one was like, "You're a terrorist."
Yeah, Hannibal was hilarious. Yeah, he's funny.
I laughed at stuff like that. I mean, how was the jokes for y'all? Anything stand out, or y'all want to brush over that?
I think Eman touched on it earlier with John Watts. I don't know what a John Watts film looks like after 3 Spider-Man movies still. I don't think he has a distinct style, but I think one of his styles is comedy. I think that he really feels comfortable with comedy. That's why I think even in the serious moments, there's some comedy here, some levity there. So I think that that's his style, and that's what he brought to the first Spider-Man Homecoming was the whole, Breakfast Club, 80s type of Ferris Bueller type of vibe to it. So I think that that's where he shines the most. It makes me a little nervous with the Fantastic Four because he will be directing those films. But I think that he's one. I'm not saying he's like a Taika Waititi quick, ad-lib type of comedic director, but I think he fits better in comedy versus some of his other strong suits aren't as strong as his comedy beats.
Gotcha.
I think he does have a trend, and it is comedy, but it's also like plot holes and inconsistencies. Like he has a track record of messing up, which bothers me because there are plot holes and inconsistencies in this movie too. But if we're specifically talking about the comedy, I think it's one of those things, and I hate this because every time I bring this critique up, people think I hate comedy. I love comedy. Same. Just critique it by saying it, and it's just like if you go to a stand-up comedian's show, you can tell a funny joke and run that joke into the ground. And sometimes people don't know when to stop. Comedy is timing too. People really don't understand. It's about telling that punchline. It's about moving on to the next thing, letting it linger, all those. It's really an artistry that happens with this stuff. It's not just like, hey, I read a line and it's funny. And so there was a lot of dialogue and I did enjoy a lot of it. I mean, like you mentioned earlier with the Jamie Foxx, like I thought you was a black kid and this, I was cracking up. That was hilarious. But when you get later on in the movie where, and this is more a play on the nostalgia factor, and I think the nostalgia, it works very well in some senses and sometimes it doesn't. Tobey Maguire with his back. Yes, I get it. He was injured in the Spider-Man movies. But the whole scene of like, oh, can you crack my back? Yeah, let me get the back. I got you. Oh, this is good. I'm like, yo, that y'all could have cut that. Y'all could have cut it. I like where it went eventually, where you guys can talk to each other. You're amazing. No. You're amazing. Again, I get it. That's funny. But move on. Like, say the joke. Let us have that moment and move on. Don't drag it. So that's my issue when it comes to the comedy, is sometimes they just don't know when to they don't know when to stop. Even when they went to Ned's grandma's house, some of those scenes, it was a great scene, don't get me wrong, but some of those things could have been tighter and they would have been more memorable because they let some things drag a little too long. So, the comedy for me, it was funny at times. Sometimes they didn't know when to pull back. And so it's hit or miss sometimes.
I'm gonna come back to a certain point you made, but Eman, I'm gonna stay with you real quick because I already asked Elliot this. How do you feel about Peter's maturity in this film, like his growth as far as a character, like where it started, him making stupid illogical decisions, and then where he's at by the end of the film? And I'm asking you that because what I'm gonna bring up next, I feel that he matured like super duper, like he has grown. I mean, he's still a child, but for what he went through in this movie, he is, matured up to the next level. But how you feeling about that?
No, if we're talking about from beginning to end, he had his Uncle Ben moment. And it took him 3 movies to get here, so while the other Spider-Man, they got to that moment once Uncle Ben died in their first movie, it took him 3 movies to get to this. And unfortunately, the passing of Aunt May, which they kind of doubled down and made Aunt May his Uncle Ben moment. But I absolutely loved it because this is what Spider-Man is all about. This is what makes him so relatable, even in the comics, is the maturity that he has to go through because of the tragedy he endures. He is kind of like that tragic hero. Sometimes he gets the girl, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he loses people close, sometimes he saves them, sometimes, Gwen Stacy, sometimes he doesn't. It's his growth through those tragedies and the fact that he maintains his sense of heroism and his moral compass, which are passed from his uncle or Aunt May in this case. That's what the maturity means. And we got that pivotal moment right towards the end when he was confronting Green Goblin and, he had to make a choice. Like, yo, do I let this rage consume me or not? And granted, he had a little bit of help, but it kind of felt like self-help therapy, coming from his other versions or whatever. But ultimately he's going to be a better Spider-Man because of it. I mean, we've never gotten this in other Spider-Man movies where, towards the end, he's just like, you know what? I'm by myself. I don't have anybody, but I'm still going to put this suit on and go do what I do. That to me is the biggest sign of maturity, that he's not reliant on friends. He's not reliant on, his family. And it's just him. He's got to deal with his past. He's got to deal with his trauma. And the other Spider-Man talked about that too. Andrew Garfield, he had also talked about, like, man, I lost everything, but I still had to put the mask on and go out. And that's like what kept him going. So that's a Spider-Man quality, and that's his maturity on full display.
Elliot, how you feeling about the passing of Aunt May? And also, did you see it coming? Were you surprised, or was it obvious that it was coming to you?
Again, like Eman mentioned, being so, ears to the ground with interviews and conversations. I believe it was a couple weeks ago when Tom Holland mentioned, something of a big loss of a sorts, which kind of, obviously it could have been based on the trailer. We were all thinking it was the MJ moment of her falling off of the skyfall, whatever the case may be. But to Eman's point, as we never got the quote unquote Uncle Ben, a la maybe Tony Stark was that for him in a certain extent, but it was more or less Aunt May. So I assume it was gonna be her. But again, even knowing, like we talked about with Daredevil, knowing that he was gonna probably appear in the film, it's about the execution. And I think the way they executed the scene, it felt really real and really raw and honest. And the fact that you thought, oh, she's okay, all right, we're fine, but no, she's not. She, I assume she had a hemorrhage or something, or whatever the case may be, or fell into the concrete hard. But I thought the moment really felt well, and not only does it speak to Tom Holland's maturity in that moment, and just I think also as an actor, this was, as far as acting goes, this is his best portrayal of the character and his acting sensibility. He's a great actor outside of the MCU, but this really kind of showed his acting chops in that moment, and it brings me back to Infinity War. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark, and when that whole line that he improvised there, which was a big moment for him. So I thought the moment stuck, the landing, and again, tying it back to when they talked to the other Spider-Man, it really kind of hit home. So I thought that execution, we talked about John Watts maybe not knowing how to execute more serious moments. I thought he did a good job of, directing that scene, and also the actors were phenomenal in that moment.
Right on. And Elliot, when we first started this, you were dying to talk about Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange.
And I'm ready to hear what you have to say, man. We spoke about this scene briefly.
Yeah.
But we got this dope ass action scene right here, which I was worried about in the trailer, but I thought they executed it quite nice. There was one part that kind of pissed me off. Let me see if I can get a picture of it real quick. Because one thing I liked is Spider-Man is being stupid. Trying to wear up the box. I'm like, sit your ass down somewhere. He's like, don't. Thinking it's like, I could whoop your ass if I really want to. And he did. I'm like, he's flying around. He's trying to escape. He shot the portal open and brought him back. I was like, that's nice. He used his own little web thing. The thing that didn't make sense to me was this right here, when he knocked him out of his body, how Spider-Man was able to control, like he was still able to control his body or whatever. That brought me.
That wasn't. He wasn't controlling it. That was
explain it. Please help me out.
That's his spider
senses.
Yeah, that's reflexes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like it's like his body's just reacting.
Yep.
You know,
Okay,
so it's not it's kind of like even with a dead frog, if you touch it, it'll like jerk and stuff. So that's all that was.
Well, thanks, because I was watching like, what's going on? Like, you know, why is he doing that? But yeah, man, the whole Doctor Strange, this whole fight sequence, the trains and the what was it, the mirror dimension? You know, how y'all feel about that? You know, I liked it. I can't wait to see that in IMAX, or if hopefully they release it on Blu-ray or whatever. I thought I had more pictures, but Eman, I mean, what did you think of it? What you think of it?
Oh, I mean, the mirror dimension was dope. I mean, I'm watching the whole thing. Like, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I'm like, this is what we were excited about in the first Doctor Strange movie, when he was going through all the dimensions and all the wild stuff. I mean, Doctor Strange is like the character, the property. The biggest thing is those visuals. And I thought those visuals knocked it out the park. I mean, I was sitting there watching every single minute. I didn't want to blink. I didn't want to miss nothing. It was intense. It was nuts. Things were going upside down, all around, twisting around. It was great. Like, this is what you want to go see on the big screen and not watch on your laptop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this ain't one of those things you want to bootleg or blurry copy and watch at home. No, you want to see this on the big screen and experience it, because it felt like a ride. And I enjoyed every second of it. So yeah, I was down with it.
Nice. Same here. Elliot, I hope I didn't cut you off earlier. Did you have
not at all, man?
Okay.
No, the only thing I was going to say as far as my dislike of Doctor Strange, and it's as you guys mentioned, the visuals that come with Doctor Strange are off the charts, visually stunning. I'm not a fan of the character Doctor Strange and the characterization of him. He's almost like, to me, the MCU, and I hope it doesn't get to this point, but I'm done with the Hulk. The Hulk in the MCU to me is just he's done. Doctor Strange, and I'm one of my biggest things with the Hulk is his power scaling is completely just inconsistent, and I feel the same way about Doctor Strange. He is, in his own movie, he was probably the most least interesting character to me in his own film. Move over to Thor Ragnarok, that cameo was small, so it really didn't affect me. The best Doctor Strange was in Infinity War, in my opinion. In game, he's just playing with a bottle of water the whole film. And then this film, I wasn't a fan of the decision that he decided to help Peter Parker. Putting that aside, the man is the Sorcerer Supreme and was stuck in the mirror dimension for the whole film. And I don't blame Doctor Strange. I blame John Watts from sidelining the characters. This is like a Hulk thing, just sideline. All he doesn't have is he's battling with himself. He can't fight Thanos because he's having this inner fight with himself. Doctor Strange should have been this, and I get that they don't want to use him because obviously he could have probably figured things out and took him out in a heartbeat as he got, Connor's in the cage and got the other ones in the cage before Peter did. But I just feel like they really sideline his powers, and I hate when the MCU does that. Just because you have a powerful character, figure it out. That's what writers do. But they just literally, I was trapped in a dimension. He literally said to Peter, "This is my world where I can control you," and he was stuck in his own world for 12 hours. That to me was just like, come on.
Yeah,
didn't have his ringy.
Yeah, true.
He just couldn't. He could control it. He just couldn't leave.
I reluctantly agree with you to a degree. I like the character. Infinity War, he was the best, but I gotta admit, it's like the reason one of the writers for Endgame and Infinity War said one of the reasons they nerfed Vision at the very beginning is because they tried to have a balance of power. They didn't want to have all the Avengers at full power, but so they had to handicap some of them. And they do that with Doctor Strange too, which is a little annoying. But E-Man, jump in there.
Look, first of all, Marvel has failed the Hulk. I got a whole video chronicling how they failed the Hulk, and I want to remind people that Marvel has failed the Hulk. Okay, so let's just get that straight. But I would say, I have no problem with Doctor Strange. They clearly wanted to make him the antagonist in this story. He's necessary to be the reflection for Peter Parker's moral compass, right? And I think that he served a similar purpose in Infinity War. And the main reason is because Doctor Strange himself has an entirely different perspective on things compared to everybody in the MCU. I mean, you look at someone like Captain America, he's all, we don't trade lives. Doctor Strange is like, you can die. I don't care. I'm protecting our reality. You sitting here worried about one or two some little android. I'm worried about reality.
Right.
Okay, like protecting that. So because he has this much grander perspective and different priorities, it's an interesting contrast to someone like Spider-Man, who's like, but I care about these villains that I don't know, that are not even from our world. And yeah, I get that, you know, the fabric of everything could mess up, but that internal compass still is telling him, man, I got to do this right thing. So that's why, you know, I liked what they did here, because again, it was really a way to build up Spider-Man. That's kind of what they do with all these characters. Whenever they nerf people, that's for that purpose, to elevate somebody else. And Doctor Strange just served his purpose at that. I agree that it's stupid that, because I was like, I didn't know he still needed the ring to go. I thought he graduated from that.
Exactly. Taking
I was like, bro,
training wheels off. He's still riding.
Now I got to go back and watch the first one and be like, you still need the ring? Like, I don't even remember you having that when you was in Endgame. I don't know. Maybe he did. I got to go back.
Now I got to go back. Yeah. Now I'm thinking.
Right.
And to your point,
if he didn't need the ring before, I'm gonna be real mad if he does.
Watch tonight. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Be like, I will say, you gonna get some, man. This is.
And that's probably the thing too, when you have so many different, what is this, his third director directing him in a film. Now he's going to have Sam Raimi, which I'm excited for. But to your point, man, which speaks to me again with that decision he makes, as you mentioned, he's so concerned about the multiverse, the fabric of reality. Why then take on this silly, childish spell if you know you got more fish to fry? Like, you can't get in college, boo-hoo, you know? That's why I'm still like, I still don't get that decision. I would have been more acceptable, especially with Ned. He's a magical wizard now. I would have been more acceptable if Ned was the one that, you know, he messing around with Doctor Strange's stuff, and he was the one that messed up the spell, versus the source, what we know is Wong now, but Doctor Strange being the one that's responsible for the portal. It just,
well, to be fair, I mean, you know, because of course the trailers lied, and you know, we thought that Wong was going to be like, don't do this spell is dangerous.
They did change that completely.
But now that they changed it, I think the reason why they went on with it, and Wong conceded, he did give the stamp of approval, this spell supposedly was not as dangerous as it became. So I think the only reason he agreed is because, oh man, we've done this before. It's not a big deal. People gonna just forget. Oh well. But then of course Peter goes and jacks it up. Then it's like, multiversal drama.
Right on. I have to say real quick, I don't like the way that Ned and MJ were talking to Doctor Strange. That was kind of annoying to me. Talking about, you know, they were just talking back, say please. That just kind of, I just had to throw that out there.
Oh, Scooby-Doo this.
That whole scene.
Young people.
But guys, we are here towards the end of the film, and we haven't talked about the main surprise that revealed itself by Ned. We got our boy Andrew and Toby popping up. It is confirmed they are in. I'm laughing at your message. They're in the movie. They're in the movie. I still didn't like when the credits was rolling up. Yeah,
I never saw that coming.
I didn't either, man. Like I almost cried.
You asked Andrew Garfield, he's still ain't in the movie.
Man, Garfield
still is not in the movie.
Straight up liar.
He'll tell you good liar. Your face. I ain't in that
good
movie.
liar.
Man, I'm gonna come to you first this time, man. Like, how you feeling about it, man? How you think they handled it? Did you enjoy it? Did you want more? Did you want less? Let us know how you felt, man.
I mean, here's the thing. This was like the worst kept secret. You're right. Like, everybody and their mama knew that this was gonna happen. And you know, I think it kind of goes back to what Elliot was talking about earlier. Even when you know these type of things, it's about the execution. That's what matters. You know, like, for example, even in Endgame, we knew everybody was going to come back. We knew, but we didn't know how.
Exactly.
We didn't know when. So when that on your left hit, it hit different. We was like, yo, I thought Cap was done. You know? So even when they opened up the portal and it looked like Peter from far away, and he was like, hey, what's going on? Me? Me? Oh, what's going on? So now, and of course, once he showed up, it was like, man, it's a matter of time until Toby show up. The GOAT, by the way. So, you know, it was like one of those things where I was like, you know what? I knew it was coming. I didn't know how, didn't know when. Actually, I take that back. The moment Doctor Strange started, and I thank anime for this, for training me to pay attention to the rules of spells or whatever. The moment they said anyone who knows your identity will be sucked into this reality, I was like, that's Peter Parker. Peter Parker know who Peter Parker is, so Peter Parker would come too. So I was just waiting for like when and where that would happen. But yeah, I was fine with the execution. Was it mind-blowing? No. Was it enjoyable? Yes.
Well, I agree with that assessment. Elliot, how you feeling about it, man?
You brought up On Your Left, and that is a perfect example of just knowing they were coming back, but how they came back. I love that Andrew was in the moment, and him and Tom, or I should say Tobey Maguire, having their little web off in the living room was funny.
Yeah,
it would have been so more epic. And again, you know, we don't get it in that way On Your Left, but I would have loved to have seen them come in saving Peter at some point, and then having the intellectual conversations about the webbing and stuff. And we talked about it earlier about Ned just being, you know, a natural at this stuff. That is a little weird that Ned is responsible for bringing in the Spider-Man, but neither here nor there. It doesn't take away from Andrew Garfield, who you can look it up. This man is devastated that he wasn't able to continue his story. He grew up with this character, just had so much love for the character. I do feel bad that he, you know, Mark Webb, man. Love or hate those films. They weren't the best, but one thing you can say, Andrew Garfield, you know, he did the best that he could in those roles. And of course, like Eman brought up, I mean, soon as Tobey Maguire came on the set, it's just like this is happening. This is actually happening. And again, like Eman said, we knew it was coming. I almost wish that Marvel would have did what the DC's universe was doing with saying Michael Keaton's in the film, Ben Affleck's in the film. You're going to be surprised to see them, but they obviously wanted to keep that a secret. But obviously that secret was revealed over a year ago. But again, seeing those two on screen and inevitably talking to Peter Parker, those moments were absolutely fantastic. And even the little jokes and the banter and all the emotional beats, it was just great to see them again. And I don't know, we'll talk about it then. Will we see them again ever in another Spider-Man film?
I do have a comment as far as that's concerned.
They want my money. Let's go.
Yeah.
I like their addition too. I thought the execution was dang near perfect. It was funny, the whole webbing thing, you know, like how are you able to do that, you know, and the whole performance, whole performance joke thing as well. And how do you know, like I have to make my own webs, and he's like, it's not something that I just do. I don't. I'm like web myself. Right. I love all that. And then like Ned is like Peter, and they all turn around. It's like, no, Peter Parker, and it's like, you know, Spider-Man.
They should have done the point Peter right there. Like what?
They did do it. Did they?
They didn't do the point, but they kind of got around. They did a three-way hug type of. I'm like, if y'all don't get the point,
dude.
If y'all don't get the point, how the heck does In the Spider-Verse get it, but y'all don't? Come on, man.
Right. Where's the damn picture at? Yeah, it was kind of, I thought I had a picture, but yeah, I was hoping. I was like, can we please get the circle point thing? Oh, that would have broke the internet right there.
That would have been classic.
My only pushback is like sometimes. Well, I think this was before the fight started, when the whole popping back thing. That wasn't in the middle of the fight, was it?
No, that was before.
Yep. Okay. Yep. There was still scratch that. I want to talk about the final battle. I like the addition of Tobey and Andrew coming in. I just spoke about that, and I like the lead up to it where they actually met at the statue and they're having a conversation. Yeah. That was a very deep, heartfelt, emotional moment to me. I thought that was perfect. I love that. But when the action came down, when it was going down, it was just okay to me. A bit anticlimactic. I wanted a bit more. It wasn't, and the thing is, it was kind of difficult for me to see what was going on because it was so dark.
I hate night fights.
Blame the lizard.
It just and then you had
hide the CGI
sand everywhere and stuff. It was just like and I kind of felt the same way watching the very end of Shang-Chi. But now that I watch it at home and IMAX Enhanced, I can see it much better. So I wonder if that's going to be the case with this No Way Home. But that was in the daytime, with this being at night. But one of the things I was just like, it's not sorry. I still think I like this better than the ending scene of Spider-Man 3 with Venom and Sandman. But this one right here, I kind of wanted a bit more from the final action scene. And like I said, it was just kind of hard to see. Elliot, how you feeling, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was just so hard for me not to enjoy just seeing Tobey Maguire suit up again and Andrew and again even seeing all three Spider-Man with their three different distinct kind of styles of fighting and webbing, and also we know Peter Parker always likes to throw in whips and quips and jokes, and them just kind of having just to figure it out. They're not a team, except, and I love the line when he says the Avengers. It's like, oh, you're in a band, and that stuff really worked for me. But yeah, I think they're the the villains. When it comes to the Lizard and even Sandman, it came a little bit too easy, and I would have loved to have seen Doc Ock maybe go against Tobey Maguire one more time. But obviously at that point he was a changed man. But it was fun. But I think the battle when it gets to Peter Parker again, round 2 versus Green Goblin was the highlight for me in that moment.
Yeah, I like the intensity in that fight. I didn't like the camera angles. It kind of bugged me the way they kept switching it back and forth. But Eman, how you feel?
Well, first of all, if we're not gonna go back to it, I just want to talk about how freaking awesome that first Green Goblin Spider-Man fight in the condo was. That thing was the most Spider-Man-y fight I've ever seen. I mean, my man was doing the video game moves with the slingshot drop kicks and stuff. I felt like I was playing
levels.
Oh my God, he done power bombed him 4-5 levels. I'm like, we in some ECW, like what is going on? Bring out the table, ladders, and chairs, So I was sitting there like loving every inch of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, the visuals didn't really bother me as much. I was still just kind of like letting my mind just race and my eyeballs go this way, that way with all the crazy stuff that was going on. I had a hard enough time trying to figure out which Spider-Man was which when they didn't have their masks on, So for me, I was just enjoying it. I was just having a good time with it. I think my biggest issue with the anticlimactic aspect for me was Doc Ock when he came in, because I was like, wait a minute, I thought Electro fried that chip and made you evil, or made you go bad again. Why are you back and you're helping? Like, what? How did that happen? Maybe I missed something. Maybe he never turned bad, because I remember Electro was like, man, I liked you better the way you used to be. Zap. And I thought that fried his chip and made him go back to being crazy.
Always,
I'm confused.
Well, because all the villains in the condo turned, right? Everybody had their moment where they were about to be good, but they all turned for one reason or another. And for Doc Ock, it was because of the chip in the back of his neck. That chip was keeping the tentacles quiet so that way he could be sane. So I thought Electro had fried that chip so he could go back to being insane, because he sure did run away the second thing started happening. He didn't look like the good guy turned doctor or whatever to help Peter. He skedaddled and he was gone. So I was like, oh, he's bad just like everybody else now. But then he comes back and helps out, and I'm like, wait, why? How? Why didn't you help before? What is going on? And this is, again, maybe this is just me. Maybe I missed something. But if I didn't, I don't like how John Watts just kind of skipped over this. And it feels like one of those convenient plot skips that he tends to do in the movies, because it's kind of like, yo, I gotta get from A to D, forget B and C, we'll get there and y'all will be fine. You know what I'm saying? And that's the feeling I got from there. That's where it went a little anticlimactic. Actually, another part, I didn't like that whole part with Tobey Maguire getting stabbed.
I thought he died.
I thought he died too. I thought he was going to pull a Han Solo on us and be like, yo, I'm tired of this role. Stop putting me in Spider-Man. I'm going to kill myself and then I'm done. I was about to be like, Toby, don't do this. Don't do this. But the reason why I didn't like that scene per se was because this is John Watts forgetting the elements that make Spider-Man Spider-Man. How you going to catch Spider-Man off guard?
Off guard, the Spidey senses.
Here's the thing with Spidey senses, and I want people to understand this. Spidey senses are a feeling. It's a tingling. It doesn't mean that he can't get hurt or damaged. He still can. But you can't just turn it on and off like that. We're not dealing with Spider-Man 2 where he has his little mental block or whatever. He can still have the Spidey sense happen and choose to protect Peter or to do something, whatever he was doing, and still take that damage. So to me, the mere fact that they didn't even acknowledge that he couldn't anticipate that, it's a betrayal of like Spider-Man, of like what makes him him. They should have put that in there, in my opinion. But I think they skipped it just because of the dramatic effect. And I'm like, but it doesn't work because it's Spider-Man. Like, you can catch anyone else off guard and do the whole, oh my God, I didn't see the stabbing thing coming, but it's Spider-Man. You don't catch him off guard. That's literally built into his DNA.
I respectfully disagree, sir.
You don't believe in Spidey senses?
I do believe in Spidey senses. I'm gonna explain why. I actually like that part when he got stabbed. At first, I was disappointed. Like, are you really about to kill Toby like this? This is so unnecessary.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. When Andrew said, "Are you okay?" and he was like, "Yes, I've been stabbed before." Yeah. I laughed. Now on the surface, what you say about the spider sense makes perfect sense to me. However, I think that, it doesn't work all the time if your focus is completely on something else. Now, I could be wrong, but when he was stabbed, wasn't he like staring Tom in the face, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Really?
It's literally like him breathing. Think about it like this. If somebody were like shooting a missile at Spider-Man from far away, and he's busy doing his homework, he's focusing, the spider sense interrupts whatever he's focused on. It's a reflex. It's not something he can turn on and off consciously. He can ignore it. So, like, for example, it'll still turn on and it'll still activate. But let's say, for example, he's holding on to somebody on a bridge, and you know what I'm saying? Like, if he lets them go, they'll die, right? But let's say somebody's still shooting something at him. He can feel that spider sense of the incoming danger, but because he chooses not to let those people die, he can still take the bullet. So that's what I'm saying. It's an alarm system. The alarm system still goes off even if you're still in impending danger. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense that it wouldn't at least go off. He could still get stabbed, but you still need it to go off because it's part of his, literally, that's his power.
And the way I took it is, and to your point, because you guys mentioned that he's been stabbed before, I thought that he intentionally, because he was so concerned about Peter not going over the edge, he took the blow, he took the hit.
Oh no, I agree with that. I'm just saying, from a director's perspective, you should still show that the spider sense is activated. You can still make that choice to get stabbed, but you can't just act like he didn't sense it coming. And I would argue that by showing that the spider sense was on and he still chose to let that stabbing happen or the incoming damage, that actually shows the heroism in his choice to sacrifice himself to protect others. That's why I'm saying you lose that when you try and do this plot device, because again, it works for everybody else in movies. We get that. But I'm like, yo, that's actually what makes Spider-Man dope. He might sense danger, ignore it consciously, and still let himself get hurt to save other people.
Yeah, I think in a way they probably should have reframed it where Tom Holland was distracted by MJ, then Tobey Maguire comes in to take the stab versus that would have worked better.
I see what y'all saying. I mean, I see what you're saying. Good points. I kind of just interpret it as like, different your level of stress.
I'm gonna find the Spider-Man cartoon for you. I'm serious. Like, there was an episode where his spider sense was going crazy, but he like ignored it because somebody else was in danger. And that was like, yo, that's how dope this dude. Because what's the natural reaction? It's self-preservation. But like, a hero ignores themselves for other people. That's what I'm saying. The spider sense is literally a illustration of self-sacrifice for others, but it's a missed opportunity.
Gotcha. So we've been doing this about an hour and 23 minutes. I don't want to keep it too long. So just real quick, before we get to the mid and post credit scenes, when MJ fell off the statue, and Tom Holland's Peter was about to save her, he got hit by the glider and then Andrew came in and saved her, and that was kind of like a redo for him for a Gwen dying in his film series. Y'all kind of think that was kind of rushed or not drawn out enough? I kind of thought they should have kind of made that a little more dramatic. It was kind of like a quick little save to me, and I'm like, oh, y'all should have stretched that out a little bit more. Yeah, agree, disagree, or y'all have any?
I think it worked.
Okay,
honestly, and I think it was a lot of people bringing up the fan service. I think that was something that we probably anticipated for him to get that redemption, and I thought it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the moment he talked about Gwen Stacy and not catching her, I think the moment that happened, and of course, this is because of the trailers, they showed MJ falling, and this is where I'm like, all right, Sony, I'm not apologizing for this, but it's kind of like, all right, we get it, because people immediately were like, man, it'd be great if he did a redemption thing and caught her instead,
right?
And it literally was there again because Sony decided those 3 seconds had to be in the trailer, so maybe it would have been different had we not anticipated it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wouldn't have mind if they had stretched it maybe 2-3 seconds later, or slower.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's slower with the Tom Holland aspect or maybe slower with Andrew Garfield. Somewhere I would have played around with it. But again, it's one of those things. We got the point. We understood what was intended. And I think that understanding covers for any other potential mishaps visually.
Gotcha. We almost done, y'all. Real quick, have me understand this. Did they explain how he upgraded his suit and weapons, or did they just kind of throw that in there? Because it seemed like he turned. It seemed like he went from Green Goblin to Hobgoblin with the weapons. At the end, he had all types of devices and stuff.
I think those were in his glider.
Okay.
Like he probably just brought them with him.
Okay.
Maybe he used that magic 3D printer thing.
Oh Lord. One of the last things I really did enjoy were the effects of all the purple portals open up. I thought that was dope as hell. I thought this moment, I'm like, oh, the MCU is changing right here. We're gonna get the X-Men coming in and all this, and I have to say that was a bit anticlimactic because like nothing happened. Spider-Man, well, I like the effects, but I like the consequences that we got from Tom Holland Spider-Man. You want to play around with the multiverse now, nobody remembers who you are. I like that we got consequences, but at the same time, I don't feel like this entire movie really pushed the story forward at all, except for Tom Holland's development as a character. This was just kind of like a nostalgic fan service reunion for me, and it's fine, but I just have, after seeing it, I would have rather see something else, because all of us want our ultimate Spider-Verse movie. I don't want a baby version of that, and that's what we got here. Y'all should have. If you try to do this later, how hard is it going to hit if we already kind of got like a pre-version of it? If y'all agree or disagree, let me know.
I mean, the biggest thing I took out of this multiverse circumstances is this is their narrative way to make Peter Parker be Sony. Because right now, no one in MCU even knows who Spider-Man is. So I think that was like their narrative saying if they want to do the Morbius and the Venoms and the Kraven, this is their way out, because no one in the MCU knows who Peter Parker is. So that's where I took that as a creative narrative thing.
They still can't do that.
Yeah.
They still can't do it. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was assuming they were going to do, was like this was going to be a way for them to do a soft reboot. And it is also consistent with the comics, Brand New Day and all that. And, it was a way for Spider-Man to start all over. And, the character development was necessary, I think. I was fine with that. Even when they got to like the multiversal cracking of the sky and stuff, I thought that was dope, because I was over there looking at some of the figures that were actually. I thought I saw Rhino. I mean, Rhino was there. But there was actually a figure before that, like in the very beginning, and I'm gonna have to go rewatch it to see. I couldn't make out who that was, but the one figure that really got me was somebody with a staff, and I was like, "Yo, was that a Celestial or was that the Living Tribunal?" Like, yo, what are you doing messing with this multiverse? put that magic away, Doctor Strange, you know, because the living tribunal is the one person that governs the multiverse, you know, like over everything. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And maybe it ties into, you know, the future Doctor Strange stuff or whatever. But no, I was fine with what they did. But I think the one issue is I think Spider-Man is still in the MCU. He didn't go to a different universe.
That's true.
He didn't, like, he's still there.
He's still in it,
yeah, everybody forgets him, but I'm like, does Sony still control him? Like,
we'll see. Are y'all happy with everybody forgetting? I am, just to throw my vote out there.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah,
cool.
It's one of those tragic hero things. Like, only Spider-Man has to live with this trauma, and only we know the secret. So I'm fine with
that's what I love about it. Now this last thing, this is my favorite part of the movie. At the end of Far From Home, he was swinging from New York in the daytime. He was swinging from New York from buildings at the nighttime. But we saw him in his apartment, kind of him starting over, and he was making his own suit with the sewing machine.
He broke.
Yes, I was so damn happy with that, dude. Like, seriously, you would have thought that was like the biggest action scene ever. I'm like, finally, we can leave away the magic web shooters.
No Tony Stark technology.
You know, we don't got to deal with this. It's just Spider-Man being Spider-Man. Him figure it out on his own. That's what I've always wanted. So I was so happy to see that. I'm like, yes, it's like when he goes to college or whatever. I mean, y'all get it. Yeah, I was thrilled with it. I'm happy. It looks like y'all agree with that as well. You can speak on it if you want to, but I was super dope.
He's his own man.
Yeah,
in the
nice
day,
grounded.
Got fan for himself.
Right on. Well, gentlemen, let's go ahead and move on to these mid and post credit scenes. I know y'all are really excited to talk about this first one with Venom. What? Y'all got any comments for this? What, the first to me credit scene? No. Okay, we can move on. I'm trolling y'all, but
they brought the same level of stupidity from the Venom series into here, and I'm sick of it. I'm really, really sick of it. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just not impressed with Tom Hardy. I don't think he's like the best thing, you know, like only Tom Hardy can be Venom. Man, just stop it. Venom, the CGI is way better than Tom Hardy, period. You know, but like, I'm just over the whole, you know, odd couple thing. Like, give me the psycho that's talking to this alien as if they're one. I'm fine with that. Go back to that, you know, but regardless of that, whatever, I understand some people enjoy it. I don't want to take that away from other people. It just don't work for me. But the one thing that I cannot stand, and this is, once again, John Watts effing up. You cannot sit here and establish the rules and betray them right after. You cannot sit here and say, this spell is going to bring everybody that knows who Spider-Man is into our reality, and then once y'all undo everything, it's gonna bring everyone back. We saw Eddie Brock. He went back to his Sony Marvel universe. He's out the MCU. He's not in there, right?
Wasn't in there alone.
It does not make sense to leave a portion of the symbiote behind. That is a stupid plot device, and it contradicts literally what the spell does. Why? Because the symbiote is sentient. It's not like it's a part of their clothing. Every ounce cell of the symbiote is a sentient being. So unless they find some weird way to be like, no, that little drop, it doesn't know who Spider-Man is, I guess. But at the same time, that entire being, that symbiote, did not belong there. It came from another universe, and the whole point of the spell was to take anything from other universes back to where they came from. So why again would it split off and that's okay? Like, it doesn't make sense. You literally just did this just so that, you know, eventually Spider-Man can have the suit and stuff. And don't get me wrong, you can still do it, but Jesus, you contradicted yourself. Like, this is just bad writing.
I'll play devil's advocate. I'm not the most well versed in Venom universe. I do not like those films at all. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Let There Be Carnage, I think it was in the post-credit scene, Venom the symbiote said, "I've been to other planets," and
Yeah.
he said, and so I don't know if he originates from the MCU and maybe he made his way into Tom Hardy's universe, so maybe he was originated in that MCU universe and hopped his way over to Tom Hardy, so maybe that's why he didn't go back into
You
it.
can't do
He's
that.
already there.
You can't do that because 99% of him went back with Eddie. You can't have him go both ways. So either he was in the MCU and Eddie Brock would have been gone and Venom stayed.
Yeah.
But even if that was the case, how did they get there in the first place? Because they came from the Sony Marvel universe.
And also too, him coming into the MCU, that was pre Doctor Strange spell, or we assume that's the same time. And he
so the end of Venom 2 is taking place at the same time that Strange is casting the initial spell.
Okay.
So when he's like,
he brought him in.
you know, like when all the stuff changes at the post-credit scene of Venom 2, that's when Peter jacked up the spell.
You know,
he didn't know Spider-Man though. Why would he come into the
he would know Spider-Man because of the whole symbiotic connection or whatever.
Gotcha.
It's stupid, but whatever.
Yeah, after I'm thinking about it and hearing y'all talk about it, I'm just saying to myself that the creators of that really just make the scene and we're happy with it.
That's what I'm saying. Here's the other thing.
People are gonna love this, y'all.
Sony. It's Sony.
But here's the other thing.
That's
Even if you were to say that he knew Spider-Man because of the connection with the other symbiotes and stuff, it still doesn't make sense because that symbiote came from another universe. So now what you run into is basically saying, oh, the symbiotes, they're Nexus beings. Like they can gain hive knowledge across the multiverses. I don't think so. I'm fine within the same universe. That makes sense. But across all the universes, so all the Venoms, all the symbiotes, they all share the same knowledge. It's starting to get a little.
I didn't enjoy none of it, man.
I didn't like it.
Just
Well, just a funny thing, real quick. We've all seen Swan Song, so it's just amazing to me that you have Naomi Harris here on the bottom right. The whole movie was horrible to me. She did.
Oh, she was wasted.
Yeah, she was wasted. But then the Swan Song, she just did such a great job. It just goes to show how directors, misuse talent.
Absolutely.
But shout out to you, Naomi Harris. We love you over here, man. You fine as hell. Just wanted to say that real quick in case you're watching. Hope I'm sure you're not, but just in case. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's go ahead and get to this nitty gritty. The post-credit scene that I'm thinking we're all happy about, and that is that Doctor Strange 2 trailer. Basically like a teaser trailer, man. Like I was blown away, man. I thought we were just gonna get a little snippet of this and that, but we got like a little teaser trailer, man. So I forgot who needs to go first, but I loved it. An evil Doctor Strange, is that what we were seeing? Mortal coming back.
What if set the foundation?
Pretty much.
I cannot wait, bro. It started off the forest. All the trees are symmetrical, all the leaves are white. Doctor Strange going up. They still don't make sense why Doctor Strange didn't show up in WandaVision, but hopefully they'll explain that. She's up here like, I'm sorry, I was out of control. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for Westview. I need your help. And then it cuts to the music and showing her outfit, and she conjuring up. I was like, oh, I'm fucking up. Excuse me, messing up the mic. But oh my God, y'all! Like I was giddy. I was sitting there like, what's about to happen? Like it was nice, man. It was nice. I cannot wait. Mordo is coming back. This is him as a white, of course, but in the MCU he's a black.
Hey, he looked dope with them
braids too. He got braids.
He looked dope with them locks, boy.
Elliot, man, how are you feeling about this post-credit scene? Break it down.
Man.
Let us know how you feeling.
I think this is the first trailer we got for a post-credit scene since Captain America, if I'm not mistaken, because they had the Avengers teaser at the end of that film. So it's been a while. And it shocked me. I was very excited for it. It was like you, Brand. I thought it was going to be like maybe similar to, I want to say it was Ant-Man when they had a scene of Civil War when Cap and Falcon had Bucky, and then it's just like it was a scene. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna probably get a scene from this movie, but no, they gave us a trailer, man, and it's looking. maybe that movie. We're always speculating, okay, when are the X-Men? I think this might be the movie. I think they might break the multiverse and everyone's coming back. So this was just a tease in Spider-Man No Way Home, but now we're getting a full entree of the multiverse really being screwed up. But the thing that gets me extremely excited about this film. We talked about John Watson maybe not being the best director for a Spider-Man film, and it'll be really interesting to see who they're going to have be the next director for Spider-Man 4. Sam Raimi's back. And one thing about Sam Raimi is he is a great horror director. And I know they let go of Scott Derrickson because he said it was a full-out horror and Kevin Feige wasn't having that. But
I'm fine with that, by the way.
I think Sam Raimi is one of the few directors that knows how to balance, horror comedies in a certain extent with the Evil Dead franchise and also Drag Me to Hell. So I'm really excited to see those visuals. We talked about Tobey Maguire the GOAT. It had a lot to do with the direction that Sam Raimi had to, his interpretation of the character. So I'm really excited to see Sam Raimi, which I believe he said Doctor Strange is like his second favorite, comic book character. Really excited to see his sensibilities. Really excited to see Wanda be. I thought they said that she was the villain, but we're getting the Doctor Strange the villain, so we might have multiple villains, including Mordor. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. And then we got Miss Chavez, American Chavez, who can hop around multiverses. It's going to be dope, man. And from what I'm hearing, we might get the Illuminati and stuff like that. So
hopefully,
yeah,
we're gonna see.
It's looking good, man.
Eman, let us have it, man. Let us have it. How you feeling?
Look, it's fine. I mean, let me just say, I was really hoping for the Scott Derrickson more.
Okay.
I would prefer a horror because I don't believe in the whole concept of horror and comedy coming together. No, it's not. It's a comedy. Comedies literally diffuse horror. They diffuse everything. I mean, if you're having a drama and a serious moment, comedy diffuses that. Same thing if you're scared because something is horrific, comedy diffuses that. It's a comedy, not a horror, and it's perfect for Marvel. Don't get me wrong, it's perfect. Like, it makes sense why you would go with Raimi rather than Derrickson at that point, because Marvel's got to have their fun, and everything. So I mean, literally, God forbid a Marvel movie be serious, but this actually kind of goes back to Brandon's earlier point, where I'm concerned with this movie, because just like how you said in the Spider-Verse, you didn't want to have the baby version and then get that bigger stuff, later on. That feels like this, because What If already ventured in this multiversal Doctor Strange that's evil, type of thing. We got that storyline already. So now I'm curious and a little cautious into how much of a similarity are you going to go into with this, because we also saw what was the monster? Is that Chthon or Shumagrath? We saw the monster there. That monster was already teased in What If multiple times. I'm just worried that they just kind of give us a bigger platter of what If already gave us, and this may not have as much uniqueness as it should have, because of what If already showed us. I mean, here's the thing: maybe Doctor Strange is not the villain, like the evil one. Maybe he's just brought in, like, yeah, I screwed up over here, but I'm gonna come through to help y'all with something else, or something like that.
Quick question: to hear you say do you think that's the What If Doctor Strange to
oh, for sure,
to kind of to redeem himself?
I do think so. I do. I mean, you saw the images of Christine. There was like a marriage scene or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that was the evil Doctor Strange's flashbacks of, like, this is what made me become this way, which we saw in What If. And I think it'll just be one of those things where, like, he's on this quest to kind of redeem himself. Like, I screwed up my reality, my universe.
Fix another one.
So, I kind of, the Watcher, kind of comes out and tells me to help out elsewhere. I would not be surprised if Jeffrey Wright makes an appearance as well as the Watcher. We already saw them doing stuff on the animated stuff, and all that's canon too, by the way.
Yes.
Don't be surprised if Haley Atwell comes,
which that's the rumor
as
well.
Peggy Carter. Illuminati on deck. Like, that's happening.
Hey, are we getting Killmonger? Is he gonna make an appearance in this?
I wouldn't be surprised. I personally am fine without it. I'm cool without him, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, literally everything's on the table. But I would hope with this movie, because of the potential that it has, they do whatever they can to keep things under wraps. Because I feel like, kind of like with Spider-Man No Way Home, a huge strength is going to be in the cameos.
And I think Sony leaked a lot of their stuff.
I think Sony,
as you just mentioned, we haven't heard a lot of this movie at all, and I think that's because Marvel has lock and key. Sony is just like, go ahead and put this out.
Right. I mean, Sony's all about distribution. They act like they don't trust themselves. Marvel's like, we know what we're doing. And throw Loki in there too. I think there was early reports that he might show up. They always had a really dope 3-way connection with Loki, Wanda, and Strange in the comics. So I could totally see something like that happening. And probably Kang, Conquer. I mean, throw it all in there. Whatever. Well, let's go mad. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Madness is in the title.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised to hear you say that. I thought you liked What If for the most part, but
I did. I really do. I do like What If. I'm just saying, if we saw it in What If, what are you going to give us in Doctor Strange 2?
Well,
I'm just concerned, like, what else are you going to give us that we haven't seen or doesn't feel like a derivative of what If already gave us?
I don't think What If has anything to do with the MCU as far as a tie-in. I think it's just kind of its own one-shot rough draft of what potentially can come. And they may try to link it up. I mean, they say that. I think I mean,
it's a multiverse. It's connected, even though they're standalones, if that makes sense.
Well,
like if they in other words, it's a convenient way to say, like, that's their play box, but if we want to, we can still pull from it because technically it's all canon.
Umbrella.
Well,
umbrella.
I mean, you're valid in your feelings. All is subjective. I would have said I was worried about this film before seeing this trailer. But after seeing it, I'm more confident. But then again, it's a trailer. They're designed to be misleading. So,
I hope they do. I'm fine with that. Mislead me.
Yeah.
You will not see me making no more theories off of trailers out here looking the fool because
they playing us now. Bro, don't say. I know you're joking, but you don't look like a fool at all. Those are masterpieces. But since y'all brought up Loki and he may throw them in there as well, they need to do a better job of distinguishing what is a different universe, multiverse, what a different dimension is, and what a different timeline is. Because if you think about it, Loki, I don't think none of that is a different multiverse. I think those are just different timelines within our universe. And to me, that would make much more sense.
I just had this conversation with somebody after watching No Way Home, and it's hard because they interchange a lot of the language, and I don't like that because it is confusing. So just to kind of help people out, a dimension is a place. You can go to a different dimension. Sure. It's a place. Hell, whatever. It's a place, right? You could have multiple versions of a place within different universes. So there can be hell number 1, hell number 2, hell number 3. Okay,
so Asgard number 1, Asgard number 2, Asgard number 3.
There could be multiple, so that's universes, right?
Or dimensions.
Or you can have you can have a dimension within a universe.
Right.
If you go to different universes, you can have that same dimension, but the alternate version. Okay. Then now you have timelines. So within that dimension, you can have different timelines. Within that dimension, you can have the one from 5 minutes ago to 100 years ago.
Hold on, man. I'm sorry, you confusing me. You can have different timelines within the universe.
You can have different timelines anywhere.
Well, yeah.
Anywhere. You can have different timelines within a universe. You can have different timelines within a different dimension.
Right.
Just like how Asgard has a past and a future. That's the timeline. So the problem where it gets confusing is that, especially in Endgame, they interchange timeline with realities. And when you also interchange realities with different universes, that's where it gets confusing. Because if I'm from, let's say, well, what do we have? The Netflix universe, right? We have the MCU and the Netflix universe. Those are technically two different realities.
Right.
They're also two different universes.
Right. Or and like
you see what I'm saying? And like that language is hard to decipher, and that's where it becomes problematic.
And like the 9 realms, you got
dimensions,
right? Those are dimensions.
Realms and dimensions,
right?
same.
Right. Yeah, realms and dimensions is the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, I just interpret it as the Loki thing is those are different timelines, and so
yes.
And where does Kang? Where is he gonna come in and fix this or disrupt this or have any issues with this? Because he's time and multiverse.
So
I think he's more. I think he's
both.
There's a different Kang in each universe. Like in the multiverse, there's a different version of Kang, but Kang is to me like a time. He's present day, past, future. He goes back and forth in time as one person. Well, no, not
and universe.
Say Loki, Loki, the one he remains. He got all the Kangs, right?
He does both.
Captured all the Kangs.
Well,
he does both.
This is more my theory. He kept them at bay.
Right.
He didn't he ended the war. He never said how he ended it.
Yeah.
He just ended the war, which means, in my opinion, because we know the multiverse exists, and I want to argue also, and maybe I need to make a video about this.
I was just about to say that. I was gonna say, Eman, just go and make a video, bro.
I know. Because he made a video, because he made the war stop.
Yeah.
I believe that all those other multiverses, they continue to exist. He didn't like stop them. He didn't like kill them or whatever. He was just like, you stay over there. Don't come over here no more. You stay in your Sony universe. You stay there. Netflix, you stay there. Don't nobody come in this MCU, because you remember the timeline was this big old circle around the citadel. He's like, this is mine. If y'all come and try and conquer this, I'm gonna sick Elliot on you. And y'all gonna be out of here. And I think everybody was like, all right, well, we can't mess with that because Elliot is like the secret weapon. But now that He Who Remains is gone, out of all his multiple iterations, he was the only one that mastered Elliot. That he was the only one. So now that he's gone, no one knows how to control that. It's open season.
Right on.
But the multiverses, they've always existed. They just been kept at bay. Now, not so much.
It's madness.
And then I would say the last episode of Loki showed you the other multiverses already, not the different timelines.
Disrupt,
not that. I'm not talking about the branches. I'm talking about literally the other multiverse.
Right.
And right on, man. I promised Elliot, I said, hey, bro, we're not gonna be here 2 hours.
Hey, man, that's what happened with Marvel, man.
And here we are, man. So I know we got to wrap it up. I know we tired and need to get to bed. So Eman, I'm gonna come to you first, man. What are your final thoughts? You can also address anything that I forgot to bring up, your rating, and kind of where you see the MC going in the future and what you want to see. Floor is yours.
Right now, listen, I thought this movie was solid. I had a really good time with it, despite whatever any nitpicks I have with it are not going to be things that the average person is going to care about. Nerds might care about it, fellow nerds might care about it, but outside of that, it's nothing that's going to deter your excitement or experience with this movie. I thought that this was probably one of the better Spider-Man movies that we've gotten. It's definitely probably the best of the Tom Holland trilogy, in my opinion, which is not very a high bar, but it was still commendable either way. As for the future, I think I like where it ended by giving us the more humble, root-grounded, more mature Spider-Man. I think that is very promising. I'm still nervous if Sony takes the reins and they start doing what they want with it, because now we're getting a different director, potentially getting a different director. Maybe Marvel Studios produces it. Maybe they don't. Maybe, we don't know. And the future to me is kind of like, I got to be in wait and see mode, because according to Tom Holland, there's now just an open conversation whenever they want to do anything.
I don't believe that, but keep going.
Maybe. I think when this hits $1 billion, especially during the pandemic, that's going to change the tune for a lot of people. So once those numbers hit, everything can change. And I like the idea of keeping the door open. Like, hey, Sony, want to hit this $1 billion again? give the reins to Marvel. You know, when you see Venom or Morbius flop, maybe you should stick with Marvel. You know what I'm saying? So I like the fact that the door is open and it's not completely shut, but I'm still nervous. So in terms of the future of Spider-Man and all that.
Your rating?
I don't know, because I didn't even do my review yet. It's gonna be somewhere around an 8-ish out of 10.
Gotcha. Real quick, box office prediction for opening weekend.
Opening weekend, I would say, is it going international too?
Yes, it's already. Yeah, it's already. Well,
it's already there.
Yeah. Well, no. What is your prediction for domestic, for home?
That's even harder. I think it could crack 100 million easy. I think that'll be not that hard for it to do.
150.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Elliot, final thoughts, sir.
Yeah,
final thoughts. What's your rating? Domestic box office opening weekend prediction, and what do you think, and what do you want to see in the MCU going forward?
Yeah, overall, man, this was like Eman said, it was an enjoyable film. It is very, for the first time ever, I can think of a film that relied on the audience to have seen another universe films with Mark Webb and Sam Raimi, and to still have that nostalgia and still have that communal experience is something that I think is an in-game Infinity War type of experience that we haven't gotten since those two films. So I thought that the excitement is warranted. The buzz, the hype, it lived up to the excitement level. And it was just like Eman said at the top, it was a Spider-Man film. And it was a very enjoyable, entertaining, heartfelt, lessons learned. Spider-Man he was accidentally bit by a spider, and everything came after that. It was a snowball effect. And that's how this film was. It was literally just a snowball of the spell and then the other people. So it just kind of fits into that world that Spider-Man lives in. So I really enjoyed it. We talked about my nitpicks. I'm still not a Doctor Strange fan, with Ned and picking up on the magic and some of the characters feeling a little bit too forced into the MCU formula. But at the end of the day, my man Green Goblin came through. Tom Holland gave his best performance in the role, and I'm excited to see what they do with this character moving forward. And as far as ratings go, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I'm excited to revisit it again to see if my nitpicks maybe are a little bit more ironed out the second go round. And then as far as like in the future of the MCU, I just want to see them continuing to build out these characters, give the characters. We talked about sidelighting characters a la Doctor Strange. A lot of these other movies moving forward will have multiple superheroes. So I want them to find that balance of not sidelighting a character just to make the other character stronger. I want people to be on their power sets and just build a better story and don't have to, decrease their powers just to make it a plot convenience. So I'm really excited to see them continuing to maybe right their wrongs. We talked about the Hulk. I think the She-Hulk's going to get everything that Bruce Banner never got. What we're getting with Clint Barton. I think, Kate Bishop's going to get some of the stuff that we never got with her in regards to Black Widow and Natasha and Clint, not seeing all of that on-screen development and hearing a lot of stuff off-screen. I think we're going to get that development with Yelena and Kate Bishop. And moving on forward, I think a lot of these characters from phase 1, phase 2 that might have got shortchanged might get their second coming or their mantles being passed, and they're going to be able to hopefully correct their wrongs. And the future's looking bright, man. We're in the multiverse. I still, not to long with this thing, I still don't know the direction that Marvel's going so far. We got Eternals.
That could be good though.
Yeah, I mean, it can be very good, but I just, and again, Kevin Feige has a plan. At least we hope he has a plan with his phase 4. But I'm still just not like, what's the end of the road goal that we're going towards? Obviously, first 3 phases were Thanos and all that stuff, but I'm just not sure what the big threat is quite yet. We're on the ground level with Hawkeye. We're in intergalactic stuff with the Guardians and all that stuff. So I'm just don't know where we're going quite yet. With the MCU, but it's exciting. Like you said, it makes it for even more excitement level as far as like we don't know exactly what's happening, which can make things exciting.
Will it cross 150?
I'm thinking 180.
Ooh,
I'm thinking this film. I think when people find out about the other Spider-Man, and I think people will. This is the film that will make people that didn't go out to see the theaters due to the pandemic. I think this is going to bring those people out to go see a movie. And this is the movie that I think people are going to see because it's going to be talked about for the foreseeable future.
My bet is 165.
165.
And worldwide, 1.4 billion at the end of its theatrical run.
And it's not in China. I don't know if it's
Oh,
I
take it back. I take it back.
I don't know if it's gonna hit that.
Not hitting China.
I take it back. Maybe a billion, 900 million to a billion. It's funny when you said 4 out of 5. I was just about to say 4 out of 10. You also brought up Kevin Feige. He been tripping lately, man. Talking about he didn't trust the audience would be okay with a foreign language opening for Shang-Chi. How's that a concern? But anyway. With me though, I really did enjoy the film. Out of all Spider-Man films, I still think that Spider-Man 2 is my favorite out of all of them. Then the animated Spider-Verse. As far as these three, I have to see this one again to determine which one I liked out of Homecoming, Far From Home, and Nowhere Home. But I did enjoy all of them. I walked in all of them worried and concerned, thinking that they was gonna mess it up, and I was proven wrong each time. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I want to see it again. I have a ticket for tomorrow at 3 p.m. but I'm gonna have to change that because I have to work. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was gonna be out for something. But if I had to rate this, I haven't done my non-spoiler review rating. I'm gonna do that right after this. But I'm kind of with Eman. I'm right around the 8.5 ish out of 10 territory. And so and the thing about it is, the thing that makes me the most happiest out of this whole movie is, number one, nobody remembers who Spider-Man is, because that's how it was in the comics, where nobody knew his identity. So I'm cool with that, and I'm just so thrilled that we got to see that sewing machine in his apartment. Like that is literally one of the best parts of the whole movie for me. Like, because that's been my main criticism throughout this whole thing. And it seems like, I'm gonna actually get the Spider-Man that I want. Hopefully we can get a Spider-Man 4. He can be swinging from buildings in New York more. It's kind of like having a Superman movie without him flying at all. A Batman movie with no Batmobile or Batarangs. But anyway, that's just me. Before we head out of here, Elliot, is there anything you want to promote on your channel, sir?
No, man. We spoiler-free review of this film is dropped that a couple hours ago. As far as coming up, we got the Swan Song review. What else is coming up this week?
Kingsman
next week we got the what was that?
Oh, Kingsman is coming out Friday.
Kingsman, that film will be out, and also The Matrix. Social media embargoes tomorrow, but the movie I think review is on Monday, and I'm really excited to talk about The Matrix.
Right on.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it tomorrow, 7 o'clock.
Man.
I know y'all seen it. Eman, what you promoting on your channel, sir?
Man, recast T'Challa. I got some there's some more stuff coming that I need to put out. It's been wild, it's been crazy. Shout out to Derek Bozeman and the Bozeman family for I should just say him. I don't want to say the whole family. I want to be responsible with that. But at least that, he came out and he reiterated support. Just saw Tony Baker, saying that he supported it as well.
Nice.
Charlemagne the God on Breakfast Club just reiterated that he supported recasting T'Challa. Shout out to Van Lathan, who also came out and said that he wouldn't mind doing the interview as well. So it's very, very good to know that people are starting to care and understand the importance of Black representation that comes with T'Challa. It doesn't have to be a compromise, doesn't have to be a substitution. Like, everybody can eat, and we should take whatever time we got to. But yeah, that's what's going to be happening. And I got my Spider-Man watch party happening tomorrow as well. Bought out a theater, people coming out, they're gonna watch Spider-Man. I can't wait to see their reactions to everything. That's gonna be a really, really good time. And yeah, just stay tuned. I have so much stuff I need to upload that I haven't had time to upload because things have just been happening so fast. So I still got to tell my LA trip stories. It's
trips, plural, multiple
trips. It's so much stuff. I got to talk to y'all about Will Smith, Halle Berry, and so much more. Oh my gosh, y'all don't know. I
promise you, bro. I'm gonna be there with you next time.
Right,
we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah.
But both of y'all keep working hard. Elliot, keep doing what you're doing too. I know your schedule, and I know your technique. I'm like, if you keep it up, you're gonna hit 1 million subs one day too. But yeah, before we head out of here, I meant to bring this up. Spider-Man is at a 94% right now. So that's dope. As far as my channel is concerned, make sure y'all subscribe. You know what I'm saying? You get movie reviews, you get spoiler reviews like this one right here. Did one with Eternals. All three of us did the same thing with Shang-Chi. Each week you get a movie news roundup show on Saturdays. You get trailer reactions. You also get TV show breakdowns like Insecure, Power Book 2, Hawkeye, and just a bunch of other random stuff. And so check out my Swan Song review. My Kingsman review will be up tomorrow as well. And I have a lot of other stuff that I want to release, like Eman said, but you know, just got to make time to do it. But guys, again, we are past the 2-hour mark, and I'm so sorry, but thank you all for being here so much. But before we go, guys, again, that is just our opinion. I'm B. Avery. That's Elliot. That's Eman. That's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you all next time.